What is the appropriate action to take when approaching a railroad crossing that does not have signals to direct traffic? A. Always bring the car to a complete stop. B. Slow down and be prepared to stop. C. All railroad crossings have signals, so you will never encounter this situation. D. Increase your speed to get across the tracks quickly. B. Slow down and be prepared to stop. When approaching an unmarked railroad crossing, slow down and be prepared to stop. Before you cross, be sure that no trains are approaching from either direction on any track. If you see or hear a train coming, stop at a safe distance from the nearest track and wait to proceed until after the train passes. To pass a slower-moving vehicle on a two-lane, two-way road, you must A. Not cross the center line. B. Flash your lights at oncoming traffic. C. Use the shoulder. D. Use the lane that belongs to oncoming traffic. D. Use the lane that belongs to oncoming traffic. Passing on a two-lane, two-way road requires good judgment because you must use the lane belonging to oncoming traffic to complete your pass. Only pass if you may safely and legally do so. Is it legal cross a double solid yellow centerline to pass? A. Yes. B. No. C. If there is no oncoming traffic. D. If the vehicle ahead of you is driving under the speed limit. This road sign means A. Increase your speed. B. Railroad crossing ahead. C. Intersection ahead. D. Four-way stop ahead. C. Intersection ahead. This sign means that you are approaching an upcoming intersection. Watch carefully for cross traffic.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
When passing an emergency vehicle stopped on the side of the road, drivers should A. Increase their speed. B. Vacate the lane closest to the emergency vehicle or slow down. C. Ask the emergency worker if they need help. D. Move to the lane closest to the stationary vehicle. B. Vacate the lane closest to the emergency vehicle or slow down. If you are driving past an emergency vehicle parked on the side of the road, you must vacate the lane closest to the stationary emergency vehicle. If you cannot move over safely, you must slow down. You should honk your horn when you A. Are traveling through an intersection. B. Are passing a bicyclist. C. See a child who is about to run into the street. D. Are parallel parking. If you see this sign above your lane, you A. May not exit the freeway. B. May either continue through the interchange or exit the freeway from your current lane. C. May stay in your lane and continue through the interchange. D. Must exit the freeway if you stay in your current lane. D. Must exit the freeway if you stay in your current lane. If a yellow panel with the message, "Exit only," is on a highway sign, the lane below the sign will not continue through the interchange. Instead, the lane will go off of the roadway to form a ramp. If you are in a lane directly under an "Exit only" sign, you may change lanes to move through the interchange or you must exit the highway. When dealing with pedestrians, a driver must A. Make sure the pedestrian is aware of their vehicle. B. Always yield the right of way, even if the pedestrian is in the wrong. C. Yield the right-of-way only when the pedestrian is legally entitled to it. D. Slow down and sound their horn near a crosswalk. B. Always yield the right-of-way, even if the pedestrian is in the wrong. You must do everything you can to prevent striking a pedestrian or another vehicle, regardless of the circumstances. It is the driver's basic responsibility to be alert to pedestrians and to yield the right-of-way to all pedestrians, even if the pedestrian is crossing the street where they should not be. This sign shows one type of A. Intersection. B. Road curve. C. Right turn. D. Lane change. A. Intersection. This sign indicates that an intersection with a crossing road is ahead. If your vehicle begins to skid, you should A. Overcorrect. B. Turn your steering wheel into traffic. C. Turn your steering wheel in the direction you want to go. D. Release the steering wheel. C. Turn your steering wheel in the direction you want to go. If your vehicle begins to skid, remain calm. Steer in the direction that you want to go and try not to overcorrect. This sign means A. Curve ahead. B. Roadwork ahead. C. Merging traffic. D. No left turn. A. Curve ahead. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign alerts drivers to an upcoming curve in the road. When changing lanes, you should A. Rely on your mirrors. B. Begin signaling as you move into the next lane. C. Signal at least 500 feet before your lane change when driving on residential streets. D. Always check your blind spot. D. Always check your blind spot. Other cars and motorcycles are often hidden in a vehicle's blind spot, so be sure to glance over your shoulder before you begin a lane change. Begin signaling 100 feet before changing lanes or turning in a residential area. Signal 5 seconds in advance when changing lanes on a freeway. This sign means A. All traffic must turn left. B. No left turn. C. No U-turn. D. Truck route to the left. B. No left turn. This sign indicates that left turns are prohibited. The percentage of highway deaths caused by drunken persons is about A. 10%. B. 25%. C. 38%. D. 67%. C. 38%. About 38% of all traffic fatalities involve alcohol. This sign is a A. Service sign. B. Regulatory sign. C. Warning sign. D. Stop sign. C. Warning sign. Warning signs are usually diamond-shaped and yellow with black lettering or symbols. They warn drivers about special situations or potential hazards ahead. When approaching a school bus that is stopped on the opposite side of a center turning lane on a 3-lane roadway, drivers A. may continue driving. B. should honk their horn before passing the bus on its left. C. may continue driving when they think most kids are done exiting the bus. D. must come to a complete stop. D. must come to a complete stop. When approaching a school bus that is stopped on the opposite side of a center turning lane on a 3-lane roadway, drivers must come to a complete stop. Drivers may proceed when the stop arm is lifted and the lights have stopped flashing. At a school crossing sign, you should A. Always stop, whether there's a stop sign or not. B. Watch for children and be ready to stop. C. Always sound your horn when you see children. D. Be ready to help children crossing the street. B. Watch for children and be ready to stop. You must always yield to pedestrians who are in or about to enter a crosswalk. Be alert to pedestrians when driving across intersections or turning. This sign means A. Two-way traffic. B. Lane shifting. C. Low clearance. D. Added lane. A. Two-way traffic. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign tells drivers that they may encounter traffic coming from the opposite direction. Drivers should check their mirrors approximately every A. 10 seconds. B. 15 seconds. C. 30 seconds. D. 60 seconds. The posted speed limit shows A. Only a recommended driving speed. B. The exact speed at which you must travel to avoid a ticket. C. The maximum safe driving speed under ideal road and weather conditions. D. The maximum safe driving speed under all road conditions. C. The maximum safe driving speed under ideal road and weather conditions. A speed limit sign shows the maximum legal driving speed for the stretch of highway where it is posted. Driving safely may require you to travel more slowly than the posted limit. When conditions are less than ideal, drivers should slow down. If two drivers arrive at the same time to an open intersection, A. The driver on the right has the right of way. B. The driver on the left has the right of way. C. One driver may continue driving without stopping. D. One driver should honk to indicate that they are giving up the right of way. A. The driver on the right has the right of way. If you arrive to an open intersection at the same time as a vehicle to your right, you should yield the right of way to that vehicle. You may then proceed when it is safe to do so. This road sign means A. You are about to enter a one-way street from the wrong direction. B. U-turns are prohibited. C. You may proceed if the way is clear. D. Come to a complete stop before proceeding. You come to an intersection displaying a flashing red light. You should A. Come to a full stop and go when it is safe to do so. B. Stop only if other cars are also approaching the intersection. C. Stop only if other cars are already within the intersection. D. Slow down and be prepared to stop, if necessary. A. Come to a full stop and go when it is safe to do so. A flashing red traffic light has the same meaning as a stop sign. You must stop, yield the right of way, and go once it is safe. When faced with an oncoming car to the left and a bicyclist to the right, you should A. Pull onto the shoulder. B. Split the difference. C. Let the car pass and then pass the bike. D. Pass the bike quickly. C. Let the car pass and then pass the bike. When there is more than one potential hazard on the road, you should ensure that you only have to deal with one of them at a time. For example, when there is a bicyclist on the right that you want to pass and an oncoming car to the left, you should not try to squeeze between both at the same time. Instead, let the oncoming car pass, and then pass the bicyclist. If you are involved in a serious motor vehicle crash, A. Stop. B. Call the police. C. Determine if anyone is injured. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. If you are involved in a crash, move your vehicle off of the road and stop, if possible. If anyone is injured, call 911 and provide appropriate help. You must report the crash to law enforcement if there is an injury, a death, and/or more than $1,000 in property damage, or more than $200 worth of damage made to non-vehicle government property, such as signs or guardrails. This sign means A. One-way traffic. B. Intersection ahead. C. Merging traffic from the right. D. Highway curves ahead. C. Merging traffic from the right. This sign indicates that there is merging traffic entering from the right. To change lanes you should A. Check your mirrors and signal, then change lanes. B. Signal, check your mirrors, check your blind spot in the direction you plan to move, then change lanes. C. Signal, check your mirrors, and change lanes. D. Signal and change lanes. B. Signal, check your mirrors, check your blind spot in the direction you plan to move, then change lanes. Before changing lanes, you should activate your turn signal in the appropriate direction and check your rear view and side mirrors. Look over your shoulder in the direction you plan to move in order to check your blind spot and check the far lane to be sure no one else is trying to enter the same lane as you. Change lanes when you are sure it is safe to do so. You are driving along a street and hear a siren. You cannot immediately see the emergency vehicle. You should A. Keep driving until you see the vehicle. B. Pull to the curb and look to see if it is on your street. C. Slow down. Don't stop until you see it. D. Speed up and turn at the next intersection. B. Pull to the curb and look to see if it is on your street. If you hear a siren or an air horn close by but do not know exactly where the emergency vehicle is, safely pull over to the right side of the road and stop until you are sure it is not headed toward you. When the driver behind you wants to pass, you should A. Speed up. B. Go the same speed. C. Slow down to allow room in front of your vehicle for the other driver to complete the pass easily. D. Change lanes. C. Slow down to allow room in front of your vehicle for the other driver to complete the pass easily. When the driver behind you wants to pass, you should slow down so that there is enough room in front of your vehicle for the other driver to complete their pass. This will allow them to complete the passing maneuver in less time and more easily. If you experience a tire blowout, A. Take your foot off the gas. B. Do not immediately use your brakes. C. Gradually slow down and pull off the side of the road. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. If you experience a tire blowout, take your foot off the gas pedal and do not immediately apply the brakes. Gradually slow down before gently applying the brakes and pulling off the side of the road. As alcohol builds up in your blood, it A. slows down your reactions. B. makes you feel less confident. C. begins to metabolize itself more quickly. D. decreases the number of driving errors. A. slows down your reactions. As alcohol builds up in your system, it will slow your reactions, make you feel more confident, and cause you to make more errors. A driver entering interstate traffic from an entrance or acceleration ramp. A. should yield to drivers already on the interstate. B. has the right of way. C. may force their way into traffic. D. can assume that other drivers will change lanes to make room. A. should yield to drivers already on the interstate. If you are on an entrance or acceleration ramp and are entering interstate traffic, you should yield to drivers already on the interstate highway. Merge safely into traffic when you are able to do so. You are driving on a narrow road when you meet an oncoming vehicle. You must A. pull completely off the road and stop. B. allow the oncoming vehicle at least one-half of the main traveled portion of the road. C. demand the other vehicle pull over to make room. D. turn on your high beam headlights to make sure the other vehicle sees you. B. allow the oncoming vehicle at least one-half of the main traveled portion of the road. On narrow roads, you must allow vehicles traveling in the opposite direction at least one-half of the main traveled portion of the road. Both vehicles must have adequate space in order for the drivers to safely pass one another. How can you help prevent rear-end collisions? A. avoid sudden stops. B. before stopping, check your mirrors and blind spots for traffic. C. release the gas pedal and let your vehicle slow before applying the brakes. D. all of the above. D. all of the above. Stopping suddenly can make it difficult for drivers behind you to avoid a rear-end collision. When stopping, release the accelerator to allow your vehicle to slow. Press the brake pedal by applying steady pressure, activating your brake lights and causing the vehicle to stop smoothly. If an emergency vehicle with flashing lights is traveling in the area where you are driving, you should A. speed up to avoid the emergency vehicle. B. stop your vehicle immediately and prevent them from passing. C. make every effort to give the emergency vehicle a clear path of travel. D. signal to the emergency vehicle when it is clear for them to pass you. This road sign means A. steep grade ahead. B. pedestrian crossing ahead. C. low ground railroad crossing. D. low clearance. D. low clearance. This sign indicates that the overpass ahead has a low clearance. You should not proceed if your vehicle is taller than the height shown on the sign, in this case, 13 feet 6 inches. Unless otherwise posted, the speed limit on interstates is A. 70 miles per hour. B. 55 miles per hour. C. 45 miles per hour. D. 35 miles per hour. A. 70 miles per hour. Unless otherwise posted, the speed limit on interstates is 70 miles per hour. If a different speed limit is posted, you should follow that speed limit.